So in this segment, we're going to be talking about Brexit tumult is radically reshaping trade on the island of Ireland. There is, quote, no port lying idle, which is quite interesting because we've spoken about the land bridge changing, but this is kind of looking more at the specifics. It's an article from CNBC, and it does amaze me that these American outlets can do amazing journalism abroad. They just can't do it at home. They just can't do it. Same thing with the BBC as well. You can do great journalism abroad, just can't do it at home. So amid acute political uncertainty and the upheaval of Brexit, the movement of goods on the island of Ireland has been transforming and seeing a significant boost. Since the UK formally exited the EU, firms have shifted their posture, rethinking the roads they take and the ports they use. This has been driven by the Northern Ireland Protocol, an agreement that allows the UK province to remain in the EU single market, but requires checks on goods arriving from the rest of the country, England, Scotland and Wales. Makes sense so far so good. They do map out the kind of change in the land bridge, which is quite interesting. According to figures from Ireland's Statistics Office, in the first quarter of 2022, imports from Northern Ireland grew by 34% year on year to €294 million, and exports to the north grew by 49% to €368 million, and that's predominantly because of the fact that any goods going from GB to NI have to be checked. So what that means is it comes with paperwork, it's expensive, and stuff can be sent back if the paperwork's wrong. However, goods moving between Northern Ireland and Ireland, there's no checks, there's no paperwork, so it's much easier for them to trade with each other, especially because, again, geography is on their side here. They have a land border, they're very close compared to GB, which is separated from Northern Ireland and Ireland via the Irish Sea. What was clearly happening was that Irish buyers were moving away from GB suppliers and continuing their trade with the UK by buying from Belfast rather than Birmingham. Stephen Kelly, Chief Executive of Manufacturing Northern Ireland, which represents industry in the region. So again, this, in another way, the protocol is good for Northern Ireland because they're selling more goods into the Republic of Ireland. Ian Talbot, Chief Executive of business group Chambers Ireland, told CNBC, "There's no catastrophic failures anywhere. There's no port lying idle. There's no road idle. Trade is happening in large numbers," he added, referring to the current arrangement facilitated by the protocol. So evidently, Irish businesses are doing well out of this. Same thing with Northern Irish businesses as well. With the impact of COVID and the lockdowns, it's very hard to unravel all that when you're comparing. What year do you compare it to? I guess if I was going to do it compared to 2019, it would be the most kind of recent normal year, I guess. And that's kind of what other outlets are doing, which I think is fine. Since 2021, there's been a rapid increase in the number of cargo ships leaving Irish ports, such as Dublin and Rosslare in the southeast of the country, for ports in France and Spain to avoid the red tape of crossing through Britain. So this is what I found fascinating, right? Because you can see the land bridge, and you can see why people would use the land bridge rather than go kind of outside of Great Britain, kind of go around Great Britain. And this I found really interesting because I'm a massive nerd and a clown apparently. And so basically, before, what they would do is they would cut through kind of Wales and go to France, right? And you can see that's around a 15-hour journey. It could be 16, 17, or maybe even 14, depending on traffic, right? And if they try and bypass the UK, it's 18 to 24 hours. But the reason they're bypassing the UK is because as soon as they hit Holyhead, potentially from Ireland to Holyhead, there'll be checks. And once they get to Dover, again, there'll be checks. So what they're doing is they're bypassing Great Britain completely, going all the way around to avoid any kind of red tape, and it's adding hours to the journey. You're talking between 3 to 9 hours here, which is a long time, because at the end of the day, these people still be being paid for their journey, or they can charge more because the journeys take longer and therefore they make less money. But what it means is that they avoid the UK, also Great Britain entirely, which makes sense. So I found it quite interesting, because I always thought, why didn't they do that in the first place? It makes sense rather than burning fuel and driving across. But that was the way they did things before. And I remember speaking to one person about it a few months ago, where they said that it's actually preferable now, because what they do is on the ferry they can just sleep, or they can do leisure rather than driving across Great Britain. They can actually just take some time out, stretch, sleep, whatever they need to do, and then once they hit France, they're ready to go. And to be fair, her analysis on it, that does sound pretty accurate. And sorry about that, I can't do anything about the screaming, if you guys can actually hear it. That, in that context, makes sense. There was nothing more interesting to talk about in this article, which double checked. But the point being is that you can see the land bridge has been bypassed. The land bridge is dead, and a lot of these businesses that were between Holyhead and Dover, they would benefit from passing trade. People stop off in cafes. There's a big cafe in the town centre where I live, right? It's got a lorry park there, so lorry drivers can stop there. They can get tea or whatever the hell else the cafeteria makes, eat there and rest, and then go back the next day. Carry on. But now what's happened is the ferry companies will make more money because they do longer journeys, and of course Great Britain misses out on a lot of passing trade, which is not great for certain areas that would be reliant on it. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, support the channel on Patreon if you want, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.